a way of making the city feel honest. The bright lights became softer, the crowded streets grew quieter, and people who usually walked with confidence slowed their pace just enough to notice the world around them. On one such evening, Ethan stood outside a small train station with empty hands and no umbrella. Dark clouds stretched across the sky, and within moments, the rain began to fall. At first, it was only a few drops. Then came the steady rhythm that covered rooftops, sidewalks, and passing cars in a silver curtain. Most people rushed away. Some opened umbrellas, others searched for shelter beneath shop awnings. Ethan simply stood there, watching. He had nowhere urgent to be. His day hadn't gone as planned. A job interview that morning had ended with polite smiles and promises to be in touch. He already knew what those words usually meant. He sighed and started walking. The rain soaked through his jacket within minutes. Oddly, he didn't mind. Sometimes disappointment feels lighter when shared with the sky. As he crossed a quiet street, a voice called out behind him. "Excuse me." He turned. An elderly gentleman stood holding a large black umbrella. "You'll catch a cold," the man said with a warm smile. Before Ethan could respond, the stranger placed the umbrella into his hands. "What about you?" Ethan asked. The old man smiled again. "I live just around the corner." "I'll bring it back tomorrow," Ethan promised. The stranger simply nodded. "I believe you." Then he walked away through the rain without looking back. Ethan stood frozen. The umbrella felt strangely heavy, not because of its weight, but because someone had trusted him without asking a single question. The next morning, the rain had stopped. Sunlight filled the streets. Ethan returned to the station, hoping to find the man. He waited for an hour. Nothing. The following day, he came back again. Still no sign. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The umbrella remained by his front door. Every time he looked at it, he remembered the stranger's kindness. Life continued. Eventually, Ethan found a new job. It wasn't the position he had imagined for himself, but it allowed him to start rebuilding his confidence. One evening, months later, rain returned. As Ethan left work, he noticed a young woman standing outside the building. The rain had been falling since late afternoon. It wasn't loud or violent. It was the kind of gentle rain that made the world feel quieter, as if every street, every rooftop, and every tree had agreed to slow down for a while. On nights like this, people usually hurried home, hoping to escape the cold drops before they soaked through their jackets. But one man walked without rushing. His name was Daniel. He wasn't searching for anything. In fact, he wasn't even sure why he had left his apartment. Sometimes, when life became too heavy, walking through the rain felt easier than sitting alone with his thoughts. The city lights reflected across the wet pavement, creating small rivers of gold and orange beneath his feet. Cars passed by with soft splashes, and distant thunder rolled quietly across the sky. Daniel stopped beneath an old street lamp. He watched the rain fall through its warm yellow light. For a moment, everything else disappeared. His worries about work, the mistakes he couldn't forget, the dreams he believed were already too late. All of them seemed smaller beneath that endless rain. An elderly woman slowly approached, carrying a faded blue umbrella. She smiled kindly. "Beautiful evening," she said. Daniel looked at the dark clouds and laughed softly. "Beautiful?" he asked. "It's raining." The woman nodded. "Exactly." She continued walking before he could ask what she meant. Her words stayed with him. How could someone call a rainy night beautiful? Curious, Daniel kept walking. He reached a small park where raindrops gently tapped against wooden benches and the leaves of tall trees. The entire place was empty, except for a single bird sheltering beneath a branch. He sat down. The rain continued without asking anyone's permission. And then, something unexpected happened. For the first time in months, Daniel stopped trying to solve every problem in his life. He simply listened. The rhythm of the rain, the wind moving through the trees, the quiet heartbeat of the city. It wasn't silence, it was peace. He realized that every day he had been carrying questions that had no immediate answers. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm too late to start over? The rain never answered any of those questions. It simply kept falling. That thought changed everything. Nature never hurried. And somewhere beyond his sight, that same umbrella might have continued its journey from one pair of hands to another. Maybe someone found comfort because of it. Maybe someone found hope. Maybe someone decided to help another person because they had first been helped themselves. Like rain filling rivers one drop at a time, kindness grows through small moments repeated again and again. It doesn't need recognition. It only needs someone willing to begin. So the next time life gives you the chance to brighten another person's day, don't wait for the perfect opportunity. Hold the door. Share your time. Offer encouragement. Lend a hand. You may never know where that kindness will travel. And perhaps that's the beautiful part. Some gifts are never meant to return. They're meant to continue their journey, carrying hope farther than we could ever imagine. As the rain slowly faded into the quiet of the evening, Ethan looked out across the city. Thousands of lights reflected on the wet streets. Somewhere out there, someone was probably holding a black umbrella. He smiled. Not because he expected to see it again,